So here I'm demonstrating the new Vector fixed wing mountain mode. In this menu you can see, ignore the couple lines above the one I'm changing here, the return to home altitude mode is mountain, return to home altitude is 225, and I just expanded the radius 700 feet. On this screen, that return to home altitude there was 325. Right here I'm out 2,500 feet away from launch, right about to fly behind the ridge, and I've manually activated return to home at 200 feet. And you'll see that it will continue climbing here. It turns towards home and starts climbing. And what I'm going to do is let it climb. So the normal return to home altitude is 300. I think I've got it set at 325. You can see it just continues on climbing. It would go from whatever altitude I was at plus 325. It's not going to make it that high. When it gets inside the 700-foot home radius, it's going to level out and then start descending. So I've just reached that. It is now flattened out, and it's going to start spiraling down. The wind was blowing quite hard, so I had to expand the home radius because on one side of the circle it kept blowing off downwind a few hundred feet. I have my return to home circle set quite wide so that the turn is gentle. I don't like having it turn really aggressively when I trigger return to home. But as you can see, it's dropping down here. It's going to go down below 300 feet, so it's in the home radius. It's going to drop all the way down to 225, which is coming up here. There we go. There's 225. You can see it leveling itself out. Again, it's getting pushed around by the wind, so it's not flying in a perfect circle. So that pretty much finishes up that. Now here, I'm flying towards the ridge at about 200 feet. I'm just going to fly straight over the ridge, maybe climb just a little bit, and then I'm going to let it fly out of line of sight. So I'm literally just going to fly it out behind the ridge. And as soon as I start seeing significant static while continuing to fly away from me, when I hit static, when I get non-line of sight, I'm just going to turn the transmitter off. So if you look at in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see the RSSI. When it comes back, it'll be down at 0. It'll probably say 1, but effectively 0%. So here I'm cruising along at 350 feet or so. I'm now flying it out of line of sight. I've turned the transmitter off. It's going to turn around by itself here and then start climbing. And it's pretty much as soon as it climbs, it regains line of sight. And I'm watching to see how fast it climbs. It's sort of bouncing around. It should be climbing at my desired climb rate. I think is 7 feet a second, which works out to 420 feet a minute. But there was a lot of wind and lift and stuff behind this ridge. Now I'm going to try this again just to show what happens if you're up high. So it's very common when I'm flying in the mountains to be flying significantly higher. I may be 1,000 or 2,000 feet above launch, but flying low along the mountain ridge or something like that. And so, the whole point of mountain mode is that no matter how high you are, if you're in a situation where you've flown out of line of sight and return to home is activated, it'll climb from that altitude to an even higher altitude too. So I'm going to go ahead and climb up here. I'm closer to the mountain. I'm 600 plus feet above launch, but still less than 400 feet above the mountain. I'm going to fly right up here towards the mountain. I'm still, if you watch the arrow towards home, you see I'm still moving away from home. And as I come up close to this ridge, I'm going to fly out of line of sight. Even 600 feet up, I'm going to fly out of line of sight. And as soon as it does, I'm going to just turn the transmitter off and let it do its thing. So I'm flying level, getting further away, flying behind the ridge. Now I turn the transmitter off. Return to home is engaged. It's starting to turn towards home by itself, and it's climbing. One thing I notice here is that the wind's coming over the mountain. It's coming down this mountain, so it wants to climb at 420 feet a minute. and it's not achieving that if you look down in the lower corner. But it doesn't appear to be flying it into a stall, which is interesting. It's holding a fairly fixed up pitch angle. There it's starting to climb decently. It's still getting pushed down pretty hard by some sink behind the mountain here, but it has climbed, it has come towards home. That's all I needed it to do. And so once I regain the signal, I turn the transmitter back on and regain control, and then come back home quickly. And so that's a demonstration of mountain mode.